Borderline personality disorder affects only 1 to 2% of us, but its impact can be enormous. Mental health expert and author Felicia Johnson takes an uncompromising look at borderline personality disorder in her novel, Her. And joining us from Toronto is Felicia Johnson. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the subject of your book is a 17-year-old girl. Why did you want to focus on somebody like that?
It's very personal. I started studying clinical psychology in my early 20s, and it was inspired by actually my childhood. And I had a best friend. Her name was Holly, and we became best friends when we were both teenagers. We were both 15 years old, and I started to learn a lot about Holly. Holly, my best friend, she struggled with borderline personality disorder, and I didn't know that until after her untimely death when she died from suicide. And that's what inspired me to want to study clinical psychology and write books that would help youth.
Now, how does borderline personality disorder differ from other forms of mental health issues or mental health problems?
Well, with borderline personality disorder, of course, it's a personality disorder, and it is in the same spectrum of other mental health issues, but this disorder specifically deals with emotional dysregulation, and it has to do with different symptoms that involve with like self-harming behaviors, compulsivity, as well as having an askew self-image. So it's not always obvious, but like with other mental health disorders, they do exist. So it's always important to look out for the signs.
Now, your friend, as you mentioned, sadly passed away due to suicide. But how often does this follow people, this sort of thing, into their adult lives as well?
Again, it's one of those things where it can be hidden. I mean, any mental health issue, people can hide them very, very well. And it's, again, important to watch out for the signs, especially when we're trying to catch them early in our youth. Look for signs such as like self-harming behaviors. If you notice that, your people that you care about, your kids are covering their arms and wearing baggy clothes and just behaving differently than they normally do, it's good to start talking about them, talking about these issues and the things that you notice, to start a dialogue so that it won't follow into the adulthood without intervention.
I noticed you've got some bracelets on. I assume they are of great meaning to you. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I don't take these off. These are my bracelets that have to do with mental health awareness. To Write Love on Her Arms is one of my favorite charities. They have to do a lot with mental health issues and raising awareness. Also, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, that's NAMI. I'm a speaker for them as well and an advocate, and I collect bracelets everywhere I go. So yeah,
that's terrific.
Always advertising, always advocating.
Yeah, good for you. I understand you live in Atlanta. Will you be traveling across Canada? Will you be coming out to Calgary to do a presentation at some point?
I hope so in 2019. Actually, I'm just making my tour around and back here in Canada, and hopefully I'll be back in 2019.
Good to know. Thanks very much for joining us. And
Thank
Felicia
you.
Johnson's new book is called Her. You can check out her website, FeliciaJohnsonAuthor.com, and also Her the book. She's also on Twitter and Facebook.